Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station nation. Drive Safe Dave. And up on the screen is none other than the great Chris Arredondo with Cargo Chief. Hey, did I say the name right?
Hey, close enough. Close enough. So.
Hey, I saw the R's. I figured as long as I rolled them, I could get through the rest of it.
Yeah, I like to say it's like a pirate, Arredondo. Makes it easy. Yeah,
I got that accent.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it. You snuck it in. You snuck it in on us.
Hey, matey, I got Chris Arredondo on the
He's
show.
always a pirate. Every time he does an accent, he comes out as some like pirate.
Hey, Chris, what's going on right now with you? You doing okay?
Yeah. No, I'm good, man. I don't wake up this early for no one else except for you, Rick.
You know what? I appreciate that. And you know what? That's that beauty of that IT. You know, they're all in their mind. They're all out in California, right out there in San Francisco, sitting next to Google, sitting out there in Silicon Valley. They're on their own schedule.
Shorts in their Starbucks. You got your
He has
Starbucks
his shirt on. You know.
That's right.
He got his
avocado.
necklace. Yeah. Hey, talk to us a little bit. Introduce Cargo Chief to all of us.
Yeah, no. So, I'm Chris Arredondo, co-founder and VP of pretty much everything customer related here at Cargo Chief. We're a freight tech company. We solve some of the industry's biggest issues. I think kind of what you guys are talking about, not just rating and not just capacity, but the sporadic capacity and the inaccuracies and volatility of the market. And how we do that is through our platform project and procurement software called C4. Where we kind of take everything from capacity, pricing, procurement, and tie everything together with automation and digital freight matching and things to kind of deliver a different experience, a different way of booking freight, if you will. So,
yeah, you know what? When I remember when I first time I met you, I was at a McLeod conference. It was the very first. It was like the first conference I think y'all had been to. We'd been to in years, right?
I remember that was in Texas.
And here it is, you guys. You're going over what it is, the fundamental of what you do to a trucking company. One thing that we're looking for on the trucking side and the brokerage side is ways to rate freight quicker to our customer. We get these rate requests in, and there's nothing more scarier in the freight industry than being the one that rates something because your name is always on that load. What are you doing to kind of take some of that pressure off the person that has to put the rate on the load?
Yeah, no. So I was actually talking to somebody yesterday, it's literally about the same thing. Like, how do we get a competitive edge, and how do we price differently? And it's like, as you guys are saying too, with the fuel, everything has just changed. Like, I drive an F-150 down here in Texas, and fuel literally doubled every week. We were paying like $70. Now we're paying $150 just to fill up every week. And it's like, when you start to put that into a month, and then a year, that starts to add up. And then it does make me a little hesitant. I felt a little like, man, Rick's reaching in my wallet right now, telling me I'm spending too much. Yeah, I am. but no, so some of the things that we do is, I think from a brokerage standpoint or just any rating solution, a lot of companies are losing bids by $25 increments because the rates have just dropped, right? And it's a different normal. It's a new normal. And I think the difference when it comes to the buy side, when you're trying to procure for carriers, I don't think some people have shifted with as the market changed. So they're not buying, they're buying in the same manner that they were in the past. And that's, when things shift, you got to adopt, right? You gotta move, you gotta change. So some of the things that we do with our rating engine is really, kind of serve up something real time and accurate. At the end of the day, if the rate that you're looking at isn't accurate, you're going to make bad decisions, or maybe not as well informed decisions, if you will. So we kind of process transactions as they're booked in our C4 network across hundreds of brokerages and carriers and things like that. So you're actually able to kind of get a snapshot of what other people are paying to help give you that more insight, I guess, in data, and pairing it with lane density and just different things to make a better decision at the end of the day, and make sure you're not ending upside down on a load, and make sure you can cover that freight and live up to your word and promise. So
So, Chris, and a real quick question, and as you talk about it, how do you acquire that data? I mean, where do you go out and get that data, and how does it come to you so that you can process it and then turn around and feed it out correctly to those that are looking for it?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting question. At C4, our platform, it really kind of the moat there is capacity, and everyone needs capacity. Capacity is cyclical. It's, sometimes you need it urgently. Today, every load's got to go. Sometimes you have time for procuring. So it's really about all the solutions that we provide a customer, and it's not just about ratings. So with that, it allows kind of a little bit more trust into the network, if you will, where a brokerage can, if all their data is talking from their TMS to a platform that they can build on top of and scale their business with, then it's a no-brainer to kind of like, hey, I need the CRM, this platform to have my data so I can work with it and also get the benefit from the entire network. So it's kind of a, like a shared community, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's about everything together. And that's really C4, a product. We kind of position things through the lens of procurement rather than just one piece: pricing, capacity, workflow, automation. We put everything together as procurement, so it allows for a better decision, I would say.
Sounds like as well, when you do all of that, and I think it's important for our listeners to hear this, is that the integration's there as well, right? I mean, what you're after is not the phone calls, but is to have the two systems working together to give those answers away a little quicker than a phone call or Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's I was telling you earlier, kind of, we just finished up our I guess Jacksonville, Florida tour, if you want to call it that. We saw a couple customers out there and how they're working, and it's like a lot of companies have this screen, and then they ran out of space on their desk, so they have a little laptop to have that fourth monitor, and everywhere they're kind of using this system to satisfy this tool to satisfy this system to get this answer. And at the end of the day, whenever they're making their decision, whether it's calling a carrier, emailing somebody, it's like that workload was about 3 to 5 minutes every load. So it doesn't really matter, like the digitization and forcing emails and options to users and coverage reps. It's like we got to figure out a way to integrate everything together and reduce the clicks, because that's really where the inefficiencies come. By the time I get to the third click, I've probably spent too much time on a do not use carrier, and now why did I even spend time on this third click at the end of the day, right? So it's like, got to figure out a way to integrate all these systems to talk and produce and execute.
An obvious fear from a broker, and I can hear it right now, was like, how do I know to trust that rate? And what's your advice to that company, that because we're humans, right? And only us, because we've
I've been doing this for 25 years. I know
I got
that market.
5 screens up, and I can look at all this, and somehow I can make that decision right here. How can I trust you, the technology, to do the same thing the right way?
I'd say I've had my fair share of slinging freight, 60 calls a load, and I get it. Like, I've been there. I've from the floor, from coverage to sales to helping run brokerages. So it's like, I get it. I've been there, and I think, like, the advice we try to give is we get like load boards and transactional ways, like that stuff has to be here. Spreadsheets have to be here. It's like, that's just how people do business. And in this industry, it favors a phone call and conversation over any sort of technology, clicks or buttons. It took a pandemic and 10 years for carriers to like actually start to being tracked, by automation. Like I started my career at CH, and when we first started trying to like get carriers to track and trace, like it was like, dude, lose my number, like don't call me back. So it's like, now that thing's like,
I'm not
it's required.
Quit calling sleeping.
Yeah, call me after COVID. Like, it's so it's crazy to see that change. And I think like where we are right now in this ClickBook Now stuff, it's like, it's still 1, 2, 3 more clicks than a carrier wants to do. And we try to give the advice of like improving your process. Like, procurement is still there. That's still the same. That's the way people have been booking freight for 25 years or whatever it is. And it's that relationship. And it's really just giving them actionable information. Like, TMSs do a great job at housing data. But everyone has this data. It doesn't matter unless you can interpret it. So that's where then you find the talent and the skill gap that requires somebody with experience that has done it 25 years or whatnot to like translate that into technology. It's very time consuming, and a lot of times brokerages don't have that sort of money either, right? So that's kind of where we step in and try to help them kind of interpret that information better.
Chris, and as we've gone to some of the conferences and as we look around and we go to these different things, you see technology taking the lead more than it ever has before in different companies, much like yours, but they're making a real change in this industry for the better, obviously. But if you don't jump in, you're going to be left way behind. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's at the turn of COVID, we started hearing a lot of customers changing their like mission, I would say, but more so focusing on like that procurement aspect. And when the supply chain realigned, like people they needed a way to replace the revenue loss. So it's like some companies try to build that tech in-house. They're very, very risky. It's like you're the only brain behind it, where if you go with a third party company or a tech company, we've shouldered the risk. We've deployed features that fell on their face, and we have the ability to kind of turn and change. But one thing you can depend on in this industry and anywhere today is change. So it's like we were able to do that so quickly and help them. And yeah, I mean, it's like these things that I think are so antiquated that a lot of people don't think about. Like, can I put this into technology? Like, is it what I'm doing today? Is there a company that can reduce that time by 5 minutes? If you do it by 5 minutes, every load, multiply that by your monthly load count, your annual load count, and that time starts to stack up really quickly. And so you can do a lot with time. Time is just kind of a reservation for money. And so we try to create time. We're magicians here in the freight tech side of things. So.
Yeah, and you know what, I believe that. And to the to the broker out there, I'm going to talk to you for a second. Is that you're gauged on what you sell so many times. In how we do it today, we've got to make 20% gross margin and blah 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 blah. Well, think about this: that some technology is out there, Cargo Chief, that can sell that load drive safe, Dave, without you ever touching it too. And all of a sudden 10% becomes as valuable as 20%. And you know what? Those 100 extra loads that you didn't want to quote on because a $100 margin was a little too thin, well, all of a sudden that freight got sold, 100 loads times $100 a load, drive safety. All of a sudden you're up to $10,000 more dollars a week of margin, 52
or
weeks a year. That's $500,000 without doing a thing except paying paying Cargo Chief to move that. Hey, but Chris, what are you doing to help me? I'm a broker, and I have this one-off carrier that I've used today, and guess what? I'm going to use 10 more carriers today, one and done's. I'm going to throw them to the side when I'm done. Are you helping me develop a relationship with those folks at all about my freight?
Yeah, I'd say we kind of look at things from more of a marketing perspective and try to use terms that are really common in marketing, like carrier retention. It's one of the big things, like why people lean into Cargo Chief and buy into our platform and our solutions is one, to expand their carrier base, carrier retention, and then to book more freight. And all that does kind of, come down to your time. Like it took a long time to comply that first carrier, right? Like why spend so much time on that guy and never use them again? So like some of the things we do instantly, like we'll map kind of your carriers to our database. We've got, north of 600,000 carriers or whatnot, but it's really the value is the data and the interpretation and how we make it useful for you. So it's like day one, we just put a case study out with one of our customers down here in Texas, and we expanded their carrier base by, I don't know, it was like 400% or something, just instantly, and also giving them options from like, they went from maybe like 3 to 5 options a load to like north of 20 options a load on day one. So it's like they had the options sitting there in their TMS, just never knew, like, wow, I didn't know this guy could run this lane ever, because nobody did the work, did the procurement side of it, right? And that takes a lot of time. Pre-booking is one of the hardest things to do. So with that, it's the carrier relationships you got to keep moving. So
Yeah, and that's again, a lot of the beauty that you're going to bring, because again, we're not saying to the dispatcher today that any company's going to look to get rid of you. Hey, what you do is very needed, right? But there's so much other freight that can make that company successful by selling freight out in advance. And there's always those loads that, hey, guess what? You sold it out 5 days ago, the carrier's going to fall off. It's going to happen, and it's going to fall on your plate, and you're going to be up there scrambling, making a million phone calls. Maybe cargo's going to help you on that as well, but that's your part, right? That's going to be the skilled part. Why not sell more freight without even having to touch it? Reduce your touches. Very, very, very important. And one of my favorite things is that you can tie into that CRM or to that platform that carrier is using as well.
Yeah, no, it's you're talking about like selling more freight, like in the rating side of things, like there's automation at all sorts of levels these days, and I think some brokers are a little, I don't know if it's hesitant or maybe skeptical. Maybe they got burned by somebody, an early entrant or something, and like I get it, like you don't want to spend all that time again, but it's like there's automation at every step. Whether automation is just like queuing up a list of carriers like rapidly, like that's automation at its basic form, and like just getting away from a spreadsheet can help move the needle. I mean, even rating too, like I saw you guys had your charts up there, like looking at volatility in markets, like that's kind of automation too. Like it's aggregating all this information and putting it into a picture, a snapshot of like, wow, that's crazy, or like giving you the impression and the interpretation you're looking for from data. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of things out there. So I think brokers should, me from the freight tech side, but slinging freight, knowing how my team was like, so dealing with this chaotic day. I mean, even just seeing our customers last week, there's still a lot of chaos going on in freight brokerages. And I really think, really should start to adapt technology at some point.
Hey, Chris, I have one more question for you, and this will probably be it. We'll have to cut it loose, but I want to bring this up in here because, so much in what we have in our system today, it's data, and it's data, data, data. However, what so many brokers, what so many logistics companies, what they don't have is the load that's not in the system. It's that quote that came in via email, via phone call, and it never makes it in here. A couple of things is, what can you do, or can you do anything to take some of that email traffic that comes in and perhaps just build a load in the system that goes in there and as a quote or something like that, so we have the data to understand what other freight is in our system, how many loads are being offered to us. Is there any help with that, or am I barking up the wrong tree?
No, this is the right tree, the pine tree, I guess, in Texas. But so kind of multi-answer here. One of our customers, they're probably, we work with them, they work with us, and they kind of our beta along the way as we were deploying some of these things out. And they really use our full suite of products. Like think of it like Adobe, and you've got Photoshop, Premiere, whatever else it is. They've kind of got the full suite. Like when the shipper comes to them, doing this all day, hey, can you quote this? Hey, can you quote this? I think a user on the other end, like sitting in the chair, like they kind of have that either frustration, this other pipe load again, I don't want to quote this thing, or maybe it's just like, I just quoted them, I never win this. There's always that like arbitrary response that goes on in their mind, right? And there's limitations to that already. But on the other side, they're also building quotes all day, 50 quotes a day. Like just that's a job, right? And it's like it creates a little bit of chaos and a little bit of frustration. The same thing, like Groundhog Day coming in over and over and over again, same thing. So it's like, yeah, we have technology that can kind of auto quote using our rating engine that gives you a pulse on the real market and what it's doing based on a pickup day. Quote that out to your shipper. Your shipper will say, yeah, let's do it. Then there's a couple partners we work with to auto build that load. That load will be put in the system, whether as a quote first and then transferred to a load or converted to a load. Then at that point, using our carrier database to kind of field your options with our offer as well. So using our rating engine again to apply like what's a fair rate today. We don't want to tell a carrier like, hey, can you take it for $600? if the lane's 15 hundo, they're not going to take it out. They're not even going to reply. So it's like, don't even call me, like, right? So it's like, using our market rate to push those options out and bring them back to the customer is, there's certainly, again, one of our customers uses that full circle of automation where they're just kind of sitting back and booking freight as it comes. So there's a lot of things there. And I think even on the capacity side, like there's a lot you can do with the load. There's also a lot you can do with conversations. And when that conversation's missed, a lot of times you miss out on that load data, or that could have happened or that could have occurred. So there's a lot of things there. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We want that data in the system. Chris, what you guys are doing at Cargo Chief, let me tell you, it's a beneficial to get that load in the system first and foremost, then to have all of those tools available to help you sell that load, to help you price it and get that rate back to that customer. I'm going to tell you that the quicker you get it back, the odds are, it's the quicker you're going to get the load.
Absolutely.
Customers don't want to sit there and leave it on that bid for an hour. They've got other things to do as well. Take advantage of the technology. We talk digital brokerage, we talk technology, we talk all this. It's real, folks. Let me tell you something. If you've been locked down in COVID, get out. Go see some of these trade shows that are going on right now. Technology's real. What folks like Chris and what Cargo Chief have done, it's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. And Chris, if we need to, if everybody that's listening, how do they reach out to you, or how do they get a hold of Cargo Chief to find the answers they need?
I don't think I have a MySpace anymore. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, okay. But, if you're using MySpace, you're not my tech guy.
yeah. No, you can catch us on LinkedIn, Cargo Chief, or myself, Chris Arredondo again. And, LinkedIn's the best way, but if you're ready for kind of a demo or you want to hear more, you can go to our website, cargochief.com. Pretty simple. Look at a couple customer stories before you decide to do that demo. Maybe see kind of like, is this the right tool for me? Like, automation can be scary, but not really. It's there. It's real. I like the way you said that, Rick, and it happens. It takes a little bit of trust, but I think the proof is in the numbers and the brokers that are having success already. So,
all right.
I'll tell you what, Chris, before you get out of here, we always ask our guests to do one thing. We ask that you state your name, who you're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that?
I'm going to try. Chris Arredondo, I'm with Cargo Chief, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. Great job, man. Great interview. Great product. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us.
All right, buddy. Hey, you know what? Again, drive safe, Dave. I'm telling you, technology is crazy good right now. Don't be scared about it. You're gonna have to dip your toe in a little at a time.
Even past the flip phone.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to go just a little past the flip phone.
And it's real.